So I have been doing a lot of research on YouTube, and I've been finding a lot of people talking about how to scale or how to start a virtual assistant business. And I couldn't disagree more with the way that everyone's going about starting a virtual assistant business. My name is Anthony. Welcome to the Scalability Podcast. Oh my God, that. The main theme that I keep seeing is people recommending that they become a virtual assistant first, so they do the work, and this is like the format that they are teaching, which I totally disagree with. For me personally, I don't go into business so that I can become a slave to my business. I don't go into business because I wanted, instead of creating a job where I go work at an office, I created a job where I can work from home. That's not the reason why I started a business in the first place. So this video is going to hopefully teach you how to start a virtual assistant business if that's what you're actually interested in, where you can make anywhere from $500 to $1,300 per month in profit per person that you hire. And that's how I feel like a virtual assistant business should be structured. I don't think that, for me personally, I will never go and do the work of a virtual assistant for a client because, again, that just defeats the entire purpose of owning the business. My job and what I've done is I've created a system that I've created a system where over 1,000 candidates come and apply every single month. And I've created that system where they can apply. We put them through video interviews, skill testing, proficiency testing, personality testing, and pretty much everything that a business owner needs to make a decision and to hire that person. And I've also created the systems to not just allow them to, or not just, hire them, but also to help manage them and make sure that these virtual assistants stay on track long term. And the effect of that is we have clients that will start with our service, and even if they start out with one person part-time, they will eventually work up to 2, 3, 4, even 5 virtual assistants. Our biggest client right now has over 40 virtual assistants that they hire through our agency. So if that sounds like something that you are interested in, then this video is going to be for you. So before I get into the tips on how I actually grew this business, the very first thing you have to know is why I started this business. So for me, I always knew that I wanted to have a monthly recurring revenue business because I am a father. My son is 11 years old now, and I've had full custody of him since he was 1 year old. And when I was, prior to owning my own business, I worked for other companies and I would scale other businesses. I've taken, for example, a cannabis delivery service from $30,000 a month to over $200,000 a month. I have scaled sales teams for software companies. I have scaled marketing processes for commercial real estate companies. I've scaled marketing departments for residential real estate companies. So pretty much everywhere I've gone, I've been able to, scale these different departments or different companies. And when I started, I finally decided that, hey, I'm going to start my own company and I'm going to, I'm going to go on this entrepreneur venture. And the very first thing that I thought to do was to go build websites because that was the most natural for me. I was a Wix master. I love using Weebly. Something about websites I just love doing. I could even build WordPress websites from scratch. So I decided, hey, you know what? Let's do this website thing. And when I started building websites, I figured out how to productize it, figured out how to price everything. And it was great when I would sell a website, to get like $3,000 to $10,000 up front. And then anywhere from $50 to $250 per month recurring was like, okay, but didn't really do much for, me and my son long term. It wasn't a monthly recurring revenue amount that I could eventually leave my job with. Right. But The problem was, being a single father was I couldn't just rely on, income every now and then. Like I needed income for sure, because if I didn't get paid, then shoot, we could end up homeless. So pretty much, I didn't know that I was going to start a virtual assistant agency. I swear, like this was not even on my mind. But I ended up running into a book called The 4 Hour Work Week. And there's so many different points that book touches on. But the number one that resonated with me, it touched on outsourcing. And the way that it touched on it was a bit more archaic. And then after that, the book that I ran into that just added to the 4 hour work week was called Virtual Freedom by Chris Ducker. Now I read about that book, or I read both of these books, and I decided to go apply what I learned. And immediately I went onto a job board, found a virtual assistant, and I freaked out when I hired this guy for like $2 and like, I don't know, 4 cents or something like that an hour. And I was like, oh my God, it just blew my mind. And mind you, this was like almost 8 years ago that this happened, right? We're definitely not hiring people for $2.04 an hour anymore. But it was crazy because when I hired him and then I, would sell a project, then he would do the work for me, and I would just like freak out because he was doing the work even better than I could do it. So I felt like I had found like this, like, secret sauce that I just needed to share with the world. And, normally when you find things like this, you keep them, close to you and you don't say anything. But I was like, screw that. I'm just going to tell people because I feel this could help out, my friends, my family, even clients. And pretty much what happened was I started helping these people or virtual assistants start getting jobs with my friends. And what happened was, it was tough because I had to train my friends how to manage the virtual assistants, and I had to train the virtual assistants how to work with my crazy friends, family, and clients. And it just turned into a full-time job where I was like, man, this is crazy. And keep in mind, right, a lot of entrepreneurs that go into business, a lot of times entrepreneurs go into business without having proper management experience. They didn't go work at jobs the way that I did. Before I ever owned my business, I was a manager of multiple businesses. I had already hired and fired and trained and duplicated, and I had already done all of these things that I really feel like still to this day are necessary if you want to scale your business, right? So hopefully, if you're watching this, hopefully there's going to be things that we can make videos on that can help you, shortcut some of these things or learn some of these management tactics quickly. Because if you are going to start a virtual assistant agency, that's going to be a big thing. If you're somebody who is a great manager, especially if you're watching this and you want to become an entrepreneur and you're thinking about starting a virtual assistant business and you've like managed stores, you've managed other companies, this is going to be a great fit for you and a great business, because this business ultimately boils down to people management, besides finding talent. But the majority of this business is people management. So I ended up finding a company who, this company, I called them and they were basically offering virtual assistants as a service, and they were telling me that that they would sell the virtual assistants to me between $9 to like $20 an hour. And immediately the light bulb went off. I was like, oh man, if I could ever make $9 to $20 an hour for a virtual assistant, my life would just change, right? Because that's, because I knew how much the people cost, and I'm like, damn, like I can make, for $1,000 per month in profit per head. Whoa. It just blew my mind. And to know that that was like the market rate of what was happening, right? So now, fast forward to now, market rates definitely vary per person in terms of like what we pay people, in terms of like what clients pay. But ultimately, like our average profit per head is $1,000 per month. So if you're thinking like, think about it. How much do you make per month right now at your job? Right? If you're someone, again, who you're watching this, you want to start a business and you're currently making $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Maybe some of you are making less than that right now, but imagine being able to hire and help 5 virtual assistants in the Philippines, Latin America, like whatever country it is that you choose to source from. Imagine you help 5 people get jobs. And on top of that, you help 5 clients in the USA, if you are wherever you're watching this from, you could be in this business model is mainly going to work in USA, Australia, and Canada, and the UK. But imagine that if you could help 5 people find jobs and 5 clients find these amazing virtual assistants. Like, that could completely replace your full-time job. Now, if you're listening up to this point and you're like, yeah, that sounds good, especially compared to these other YouTube videos talking about how, you need to become a virtual assistant, and you need to go work for the client and you need to go do the task. Like, no. That's not how we scale. That's not how we do things here with Scale with Anthony. We want to make sure that everything that you do is scalable, meaning you can either have another person or software or something else do it and you can manage it. And eventually, one day we can put you in a position where you don't have to manage it anymore, right? So now, all right. So now I found that out. I'm like, okay, great. This company told me the pricing. I see the margins. Now, what do I actually do at this time, right? So immediately I start like thinking about like, okay, what is it that I need to do in order to turn this into a product? So the very first thing I do is I actually go productize. Okay. So I immediately, like, for me, I had already had experience building brands, doing a logo, website, all these things. If you've never done that before, or if you already have one, or if you haven't pulled the trigger because you're thinking about the brand, give yourself no more than 3 days to get it done. Nowadays with Fiverr and all these other different resources online, you even have automatic logo makers, all that. You should be able to get your, branding done quick. And so I think and honestly, if it's not perfect, that's okay. The first name that we launched we actually kept my website company name. The company name was Optima Boost. Later on down the line, I rebranded to Outsource Plug, and, Outsource Plug now today is, multi 7-figure business, but we would have never got there if I spent too much time thinking about the branding. So get your branding done. Okay. Something outsourcing, something virtual assistant, something VA agency. I don't know. I don't care. Get it done. The next step is, if you're going to start a VA agency, you have to, number one, I would highly recommend that you hire your first virtual assistant. Spend anywhere from $400 to $900 a month, depending on the person, and have this person be your right-hand person. Because if you've never worked with a virtual assistant, how can you expect to sell virtual assistants, right? So hire somebody, have them work on projects that you're currently working on, figure out like capabilities, start using a virtual assistant so that you can feel it. Some of you have probably already worked with virtual assistants previously. If you've used Fiverr, if you've used Upwork, you've probably worked with the virtual assistant in another country at some capacity. Okay. So first, hire someone. Second thing is you need to build out your project management system. So I built out my project management system using a company called Podio, and basically that's going to be your applicant tracker. Okay, so you're going to go in there, you're going to build a custom form that is going to lay out basically, it's going to give you the ability to create a form on a website where when you go advertise for jobs, somebody can go in, they can put in their name, phone number, resume, email, their portfolio, all this good stuff, and then they can apply to your company. Okay, and then if you do it like I did it, which I can totally make a separate video on how my applicant tracker works, project management system. We currently have over 15,000 candidates inside of our database right now. But then from there, what you do is you create that project management system, Podio. If you already have some experience with operations, you can probably move pretty quickly through this. So now I got my brand. I got my foundation, right? Because if you try to do this, if you go advertise for virtual assistants and you start getting a ton of applicants, your email is going to be flooded. You have no way to organize these virtual assistants that are coming in. That is a recipe for failure. Okay, so we got to create the foundation. We got to create the bucket that the water goes in, and we got to make sure that there's no holes in that bucket. And then once that project management system is done, then from there I start advertising. And then in terms of productization, you can go look at my website, outsourceplug.com, if you want to go copy it. I don't care. But pretty much I started laying out hey, this is an admin virtual assistant can cost around $8 an hour. A social media virtual assistant can cost around $10 an hour. And a software development virtual assistant can cost around $14 an hour. And pretty much from there, now I'm like, okay, great. I have my presentation, the way that I can pitch this. And once you have those three things, okay, now you need to go look at what is it that you specialize in. See, me, I had already known that I already knew how to work with real estate agents. I knew how to work with real estate brokerage, real estate teams. And then, but the sweet spot that I found was working with real estate media companies, because I figured out I remember the first time that a photo editor virtual assistant applied, and I looked at that and I said, oh man, this is money right here. When that first photo editor virtual assistant came in, because I didn't even know that people like that were applying for companies like mine. And I remember that just dollar signs went off, because when I took that virtual assistant to my client, they said, dude, we need 10 of them. So that just happens to be my niche. However, what industries have you been? Have you worked in cannabis? Have you worked in medical? Have you worked in sales? Have you worked in the car industry? Have you worked in wherever you've worked in, right? What are the virtual assistants that that they need? What can we get these, Filipinos or Nicaraguans, Colombians, Mexicans, whatever? What can we get them to do for these companies, right? Because that is ultimately where you're going to start. You're probably going to make your first sale within your friend and family network, right? You're going to come to them and you're going to say, hey, dude, how much does it cost you to hire admin assistant here in the Bay Area? Okay, $20 an hour, dude, I'll get them to you for $8. Right? How much does it cost for you to get a virtual assistant in, for graphic design? Or sorry, how much does it cost you to hire a graphic designer in Atlanta? Okay, it costs you $15. I got you for $9. Right? So pretty much you're going to look at that network right there. And if you've gotten this far in this video, and if you've gotten this far in this video and you're listening to me and you're like, yep, I think I could do that. Comment down below contract. Okay. Because the next thing you're going to do, let's say that you find somebody in your network, somebody you've networked with, a friend, a family, somebody that owns a business, and you come to them with this idea for virtual assistants. If you actually message me down below, I will give you my contract, the same contract that I use to line up my clients and close these deals. Because guys, if you do the math, okay, these are not small deals. Let's just say on average, a deal that we do is $1,600 per month, right? And you look at that. So we've had deals that we've had for over 4 years. And if you do that even just yearly, that's $19,200 per year, right? And if you're making at least $1,000 per head per month in profit, that's going to be $12,000 per year in profit that you're making. Okay. So, and again, if you go do that 5 times, for most of you, that's going to completely replace your income, your full-time, part-time income, whatever, right? So then from there, that's pretty much it, how to get started, right? In a nutshell, that is literally how I got started with my business. Now there's going to be, so we are coming out with the course. So if you are interested in actually getting access to that course, comment down below, okay? And this course is going to run you through, and it's going to show you exactly how I build my systems for Outsource Plug to basically, we get over 1,000 candidates per month at this time, or no, actually not 1,000. We get between 500 to 1,000 depending on the month and the time of year. But the system is going to help you manage all the incoming candidates. And if you're like me and you want to eventually grow this thing to be over $100,000 per month, let's talk about it. And I can totally help you get there. But besides that, I actually hope that this video brought you value. I hope that this video sparked interest. And, if you think that these other videos about how to start a virtual assistant business are better than mine, tell me why. But anyways, thank you for lasting this long. And don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend, and thank you for watching.